When we talk about the greatest battles in comic book history, fans usually imagine Thanos snapping half the universe away, or Superman trading punches with Darkseid. But today, we are stepping into an entirely different league, a battle so massive, so incomprehensible, that the very foundation of existence would tremble under its weight. On one side, we have the Spectre, the embodiment of God's wrath in the DC universe. A spirit of divine vengeance, limitless in destructive potential, and feared even by the most powerful cosmic entities. And on the other side, we have the Living Tribunal, the ultimate multiversal authority in Marvel, whose word alone outweighs every law, every being, and every power across the infinite realities of Marvel's cosmos. So, the question is, who truly judges all? Can the wrath of God stand against the supreme law of the multiverse? Or does the tribunal's authority render even divine vengeance powerless? This isn't just another who would win debate. This is a clash of purpose, authority, and cosmic destiny. And by the end of this analysis, we will reveal the definitive answer to who would stand victorious if these two titans ever crossed paths. So buckle up, because this battle isn't just about strength. It's about existence itself. The Spectre, God's wrath unleashed. The Spectre is not just another superhero, villain, or cosmic entity. He is something far more terrifying. Known as the Spirit of Vengeance, the Spectre is God's divine punishment given form. His mission? To eradicate evil, punish sin, and enforce the will of the Presence, the highest divine authority in the DC universe. But here's where it gets interesting. The Spectre isn't entirely free to do as he pleases. While his power is virtually limitless, his actions are often guided, restricted, or channeled through a human host. From Jim Corrigan to Hal Jordan, the Spectre has always required a mortal soul to anchor his divine essence. This connection keeps him grounded but also introduces limitations, because at the end of the day, the Spectre is bound by divine command. He does not act on whim, he acts on higher purpose. Still, when unleashed, the Spectre's feats are beyond comprehension. He has reshaped reality, erased cosmic beings from existence, and stood against forces that even the most powerful Justice League members would never dare to confront. For example, in multiple storylines, the Spectre has fought beings like Anti-Monitor, overpowered entire legions of demons, and even rewritten the laws of existence when carrying out divine justice. In raw destructive potential, few can compare. But remember, this is not a being of free will. The Spectre's greatest power comes not from what he chooses to do, but from the will of the Presence. And that distinction is going to matter a lot when we compare him to the Living Tribunal. The Living Tribunal, the multiversal judge. Now let's move into Marvel's side of the cosmos. If the Spectre is God's wrath, then the Living Tribunal is the embodiment of law itself. He is not one god among many, he is the absolute judge of the Marvel multiverse. His authority supersedes cosmic abstracts, overrules the powers of gods, and maintains balance across infinite universes. The tribunal is depicted with three faces: equity, necessity, and vengeance. Together, they represent the complete judgment of all existence. Nothing escapes his oversight. Even the Infinity Gauntlet, with all 6 stones, was declared powerless before the tribunal's authority. Imagine that. What fans consider the ultimate weapon in Marvel is nothing but a toy compared to this cosmic judge. His feats are equally staggering. The tribunal has nullified entire concepts of reality, overruled the most dangerous threats to the multiverse, and stood as the final authority above beings like eternity, infinity, and death themselves. His word is final. His decisions cannot be appealed. He exists beyond the concept of raw power. He represents absolute order and balance. Unlike the Spectre, the Living Tribunal does not require a host, nor does he act at the whim of a higher being in most cases. Instead, he embodies the will of the multiverse itself, only answering to the one above all, the supreme entity of Marvel. In terms of positioning in the hierarchy of power, the tribunal is not a warrior, but a judge. His strength is not measured in punches thrown, but in laws declared. And that makes him a very different kind of opponent for the Spectre. The clash, wrath versus law. So, what would actually happen if these two ever collided? Let's break it down. At first glance, the Spectre's raw destructive might could potentially challenge the Tribunal. If Spectre were unleashed without restrictions, he could destroy multiverses, rewrite reality, and unleash wrath that no single being could withstand. From a pure power perspective, the Spectre looks terrifying. But here's the catch: Spectre's power is always tied to divine purpose. He does not decide what to destroy, he acts only under the will of the Presence. In contrast, the Living Tribunal's authority is final and does not require divine instruction at every turn. He acts as the supreme law, directly enforcing cosmic balance without hesitation. Now imagine the battle itself. Spectre lashes out with divine fury, bending reality, unleashing wrath across the cosmos. But the Tribunal does not fight back in the traditional sense. Instead, he declares law. His judgment alone has the power to nullify Spectre's actions, strip away his influence, and render his fury meaningless. This brings us to the heart of the conflict: raw power versus supreme authority. Who wins in a world where one represents divine punishment and the other represents cosmic law? There is a possibility that Spectre, if fully supported by the Presence, could rival even the Tribunal's authority. After all, if the Presence is truly equivalent to Marvel's one above all, then Spectre could, in theory, act on the same level. But in most scenarios, the Tribunal has a built-in advantage. Unlike Spectre, he is not bound by morality, host limitations, or directives. His authority exists above all cosmic beings in Marvel, and his law cannot be resisted, only obeyed. The verdict: who judges all? And now, we arrive at the final answer. Between Spectre and the Living Tribunal, who truly judges all? The conclusion is clear: while the Spectre is one of the most powerful and terrifying forces in all of DC, his very nature places limits on his role. He is an agent of divine will, not the source of judgment itself. His wrath is guided, his actions are directed, and his power is immense but purposeful. The Living Tribunal, on the other hand, embodies the very authority of the Marvel Multiverse. His decisions reshape reality, his word overrides any weapon, and his law is absolute. He does not simply enforce someone else's will, he is the will of the multiverse itself. So, in a direct confrontation, the Living Tribunal stands above. His authority nullifies the Spectre's wrath, his law bends reality beyond vengeance, and his supreme role ensures victory. Unless the Presence directly intervenes, the Spectre cannot surpass the Tribunal's authority. The final verdict? The Living Tribunal judges all. But as with every cosmic debate, the beauty lies in the discussion. Could the Presence empower Spectre to surpass the Tribunal? Could divine wrath bend even the supreme law? That's where your thoughts come in. So tell us, who do you think would win in this ultimate showdown of cosmic judges? The Spectre, God's wrath from DC, or the Living Tribunal, the supreme authority of Marvel? Drop your theories in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic battles right here on What's on Hollywood. Because in the end, these cosmic debates remind us of one thing: power may be infinite, but judgment is final.